I'm Mike Dennison at the Capitol. Coming up, we take a closer look at where the top gubernatorial candidates stand on the big issues.
Plus, it's Trump versus Biden tonight for their first debate. What people hope to hear from the candidates.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Thanks for making KRTV a part of your night. I'm Tim McGonigal.
And I'm Hallie Schwinnard. First tonight, we have a state of emergency related to COVID-19.
The Fort Peck, Assiniboine, and Sioux tribes, both in Roosevelt County, have declared a state of emergency. This means there's a stay-at-home order, all non-essential business must close, and all gatherings must be limited to 10 people or less. We're working to get more information on this. Also tonight in Hill County, Box Elder Public Schools have alerted families that they will be doing distance learning the rest of the week. School officials were informed yesterday afternoon of a positive COVID case in the facility. They will continue their meal programs as scheduled. All practices are canceled today, but will resume on Wednesday.
In political news, perhaps more than any other race on Montana's 2020 ballot, the contest for governor will shape the future of the state. Democrat Mike Cooney and Republican Greg Gianforte are leading the candidates to take over. Starting today in a three-part series, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at where Cooney and Gianforte stand and how they differ on three major issues: the economy, education, and health care. Our first segment focuses on the economy, the state budget, and tax policy.
Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte says the #1 reason he's running for governor is to create more and better paying jobs in Montana. How will he do it?
But it focuses on a top to bottom regulatory review to keep regulations that protect public safety and the environment, but remove the excessive ones, lowering the tax burden across the board.
He also wants more emphasis on trades education like carpenters, plumbers, machinists, streamlining of the permit process for mines and other natural resource projects, and a freeze in state spending.
We've had massive growth in state spending over the last 10 years. Our strategy is very simple. I am very hopeful we will not have to make cuts. My goal is to hold spending flat.
Gianforte also points to his business experience, building a software development firm in Bozeman from the ground up into an international company with more than 1,000 employees.
There is a huge contrast here between me and my opponent. I've spent my entire career creating good paying jobs, mostly here in Montana. My opponent got a 0% rating from the Montana Chamber of Commerce.
That rating for Cooney came in one legislative session when he was state Senate president 13 years ago. He's now lieutenant governor under Bullock and says if people want to know what he'll do, they should look to how the state budget is surviving the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're in a very strong position as a state. I mean, and we didn't get here by accident. In the last legislature, we worked with both Republicans and Democrats to build a budget that makes sense. Our reserves are full to capacity.
Cooney says he would continue to partner with business on education for hard-to-fill jobs, but that his first priority would be to make sure Montanans are healthy in the wake of the pandemic.
Because we cannot kickstart the economy again without healthy people. Once we do that, then we're going to continue to open up the economy, getting people back on the job.
That also includes ensuring people have access to affordable health care, he says, and preserving access to public lands, which drives Montana's outdoor economy. On natural resources, Cooney says he's always been supportive of traditional industries like mining and agriculture, but that Montana can't ignore the regional demand for cleaner power.
So we can continue to manage our resources properly and continue to benefit off them, but we also need to be prepared to move into the new economy where we're seeing it shift.
Finally, on tax policy, Gianforte wants to look at reducing taxes on property for homes and businesses and says Montana's state income tax is too high. If it's low enough, he says, it will attract more people to move here.
We're competing with states that have a 0 income tax rate. I think what we can do is incrementally bring that down. And I think one of the ways we could do it is by inviting Montanans to come back home, bring their jobs with them.
Cooney says Montanans don't need any new taxes as they recover from the pandemic. But in the future, he'd like to consider raising the income tax rate on Montana's highest earners, those making more than $500,000 a year and with substantial capital gains.
If you're making minimum wage in Montana right now, you're paying the same tax rate as someone making $500,000. How is that fair? To just say we're going to cut property taxes, we're going to cut this tax or cut that tax, every one of those cuts will have an impact on services to the people of Montana.
So there you have it. Two very different approaches on how we should go forward in Montana. Tomorrow, we look at something closely intertwined with the economy, education. Some significant differences there as well. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Meanwhile, tonight is the first of 3 presidential debates. We wanted to find out if people locally plan to watch. As MTN's Colter Anstad found out, the debate has a lot of people interested, and they believe there's a lot riding on it.
If the people I spoke to are any indication, plenty of Americans will likely be kicking up their feet and turning on their TVs to watch tonight's debate. Everyone I spoke to had at least one issue in mind they hope to hear the candidates speak about, and they all agree this will be an important and historic debate.
This election's all about this country, whether we're going socialist or we're remaining a free Republican like we have been.
I still need to be able to make a decision between the competitors.
I haven't seen much of Joe Biden. He hasn't been on TV much. I want to see how he performs, what he has to say, and how he deals with the debate with Donald Trump.
You could say local residents' reasons for wanting to watch the presidential debate are a representation of the two candidates they'll be watching. Similar, yet different. Both candidates have had terms in the White House, Trump as the current president and Biden as vice president for 8 years, but that's about where their similarities end. As for what locals want to hear,
there's a lot of issues. Immigration's a big one, especially with this COVID thing. And then that ties right in with this COVID. How long this lockdown's going on, everything else. It's, everything, we're not getting the truth from the media.
In my opinion, I think they seriously need to talk about being nice to each other.
I'm interested in the economy and how the economy is going to improve. I'm interested in the Supreme Court and also how Biden would handle the COVID, whether he would have a lockdown or not.
All that's left to do now is tune in and find out. Tonight's debate starts at 7 o'clock. In Great Falls, Colter Anstad, MTN News.
You can watch that debate right here on KRTV. The next debate will be October 15th. Well, most of Montana enjoying another sun-filled day. For a first look at the forecast, we send it over to Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, hello everybody. What a beautiful day here it has been across the entire state. Taking a look at big sky, still a little snow there in the bowl from over the past weekend, but beautiful blue sky. However, some smoke is headed towards our state here. We've got those wildfires that continue to burn out around California, and that smoke will be curling up and moving through Washington, Oregon, Idaho through the day on Wednesday, and likely as we get into Thursday, you will notice a little in the way of some smoke and haze in the sky. The good news is it doesn't last for long. We should see some of that smoke being pushed down towards the south by a little minor front. But picture perfect autumn weather will continue tomorrow. We'll talk about some changes for your Wednesday, but another smoke show headed our way. And rain, we could certainly use some. I'll let you know if we have any in the forecast. That's coming up here a little later on.
Tonight, Great Falls police are asking for help. They're looking for information on a missing and endangered person. Take a look. This is Sally Damaris Smith. She was last seen Friday in Great Falls. Police say Smith may have been headed to the Malta area. She would have been driving a 2005 gold Toyota Corolla. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to call 911 or Great Falls Police.
Coming up, the Great Falls Symphony adjusts to continue to bring you live performances. We'll have details next.
You're watching KRTV, Montana's news leader.
My opponent and his friends love telling people I wasn't born here. Well, you got me. I was born in an Army hospital. My dad was a lieutenant colonel. He's the only one I ever took marching orders from. I'll never just toe the party line, and I don't take corporate PAC money. I'll be a strong voice for Montana's rural economy and Montana values, because...
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. The Great Falls Rescue Mission is working with the Health Department to investigate a possible case of COVID-19. According to the rescue mission, at least one person from one of the mission's shelters is in quarantine at this time. Pending results, they could not tell us which shelter. If the person in question does test positive for the virus, rescue mission officials say they have a plan.
We are open. We are not in lockdown right now. We already have heightened cleaning procedures. If the test results come back positive, then we would follow the recommendations of the City County Health Department.
We did reach out to the health department, but because of HIPAA laws, the department was not able to give us any information.
Coronavirus concerns have canceled many concerts in 2020, but the music will go on for the Great Falls Symphony. They're adapting to the upcoming season, still providing live performances. The first performance is this Saturday. Tickets, the best part, are free. The Symphony is offering 6 shows between October and April. Each performance will have 2 showings, one at 3 p.m., the other at 7:30 p.m. The audience will be limited to 200 people for each performance. There will also be about 30 musicians on stage as opposed to the normal 60 to 70.
And for the first concert, we're actually doing it with all strings because they can wear masks, and I'll wear a mask too. It'll look a little bit weird with the mask conductor, but and that's just, you know, since it's the first one, we want to make sure we get our procedures in place before we start adding a bunch of wind players sending saliva in all directions.
Free tickets are available now at the Mansfield Center for the Performing Arts box office inside the Civic Center. You do have to get tickets ahead of time. If you can't make it to the performances in person, we've got you covered. The show will be available at Sundays, 2 p.m. on our KRTV streaming app.
From COVID testing to flu shots, a lot of people turned out today at the Expo Park. In fact, that line stretched down 3rd Street. Back in July, Alluvian Health moved their drive-through COVID-19 testing to Montana Expo Park. Today, they were joined by the Cascade City County Health Department for a flu shot clinic. Due to COVID-19, 2 drive-through clinics will replace the health department's walk-in clinic this year. If you missed today's clinic, there will be another from 10 to 2 on October 6th.
High pressure continues to be our friend here, delivering some real nice weather, but this high will steer some of that smoke from wildfires in California back towards Montana. I'll have more on the forecast coming up.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenance.
All right, welcome back, everybody. What a beautiful Tuesday it has been across the state, although with the wind, there is some element of fire danger out there. It's been dry, it's going to be dry, and we will have some issues with the wind, especially as we get into the weekend as well. But look at this, 83 degrees in Great Falls right now. West winds gusting up to 24 miles per hour. Helena, beautiful and blue, and also into the lower 80s. Southwest winds at about 24 miles per hour. But out the high line, eastern Montana, we're into the 80s as well. Look at Billings at 85 degrees. A very warm one of the last few days here in September. The wind, again, it's an issue. It's warm, it's dry, the humidity is low, and some of these gusty winds will actually be switching a little bit tonight. There's a minor front that will be going through, and that will drop the temperatures here a little bit for Wednesday. Not that bad. Still a very nice day. Eastern Montana, look at that wind through the day on Wednesday, but I think for Lewistown and Havre points west, actually not as much in the way of wind. And then Thursday, we'll be hoping for some wind as some of that upper level smoke starts working its way into the state here. I do not believe that a lot of that smoke will translate down to the surface, so our air quality should remain good. Wildfires, again, these are technically still active here. We've got not much in the way of growth, though, on those fires, which is certainly good news. But in conditions like today, with the wind and just the cumulative dryness, we'll have to watch out for the fire danger. Little minor front off towards the north of Montana will just come through tomorrow and bring us some cooler air. Wind advisories for the Dakotas, and still dealing with nasty air and heat and fire danger throughout a lot of California. So beautiful as far as our air quality and sky conditions go, but eventually as this high moves a little further towards the east, we'll see more of a return flow or southwest flow setting up, and that could push some of that smoke back into our sky again by about Thursday. But tonight, a few clouds coming through north central and eastern Montana. Tomorrow, a cooler day, but very nice and sunny. Some clouds coming through Thursday night into Friday morning. Friday, we may get some rare rain rain showers out in the far eastern part of the state, but most of Montana will be dry. And then heading into the weekend, it is looking sunny and dry and continued warm, with numbers up into the 70s to near 80 degrees. Here's the forecast for tonight. Cooling down a little bit after this front goes through. We'll drop off into the 40s, even a few 30s out there. Some wind for the rest of this evening through the overnight hours. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. A much cooler day. 83 in Great Falls for the high today. It's about 63 or so for the high tomorrow. Some places up on the high line, down into the 50s. Nothing that unusual for the end of September. Here's the 7-day forecast for Helena. 69 for the high tomorrow. Mostly sunny, still looking really nice. Some smoke moving in on Thursday. And how about that weekend? Temperatures in the 70s, mostly sunny skies. Low 80s Monday and Tuesday, with an increase in the wind. And for Great Falls, a nice little cool down for tomorrow. Some smoke on Thursday, through the 70s into the weekend. And watch that wind and high fire danger Monday and Tuesday.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
7 months after the NA3HL hockey season was called off due to the COVID-19 pandemic, junior teams returned to the ice this weekend in Montana.
Tom Wiley catches up with the Great Falls Americans after a long off-season.
Like many programs across the country, the Great Falls Americans junior hockey team saw its season end prematurely in March.
Yeah, it was tough. It was, they're teenage kids, and there's a lot of emotion in the game, and what we try to do, it's a 7-month journey, and to just kind of be stopped was pretty tough.
Great Falls had won 9 straight games, a playoff series, and were up 1-0 on Sheridan in the division semifinals.
It was a blast. It was a really fun ride, and then just with everything that happened with COVID and stuff, it was a tough way to see it end, but we're back, so should be a good season.
After months of uncertainty and 2 weeks of training camp, the 2020 junior hockey season starts this weekend, and for the Americans, it's a chance to take care of some unfinished business.
You come into the practice and you're just like, all right, I need to actually work as hard as I can, because you don't know when it's going to get taken away at this point. We're fighting against time almost. I know everyone along with me, we still have a fire burning from last year, so we still got a good, strong core, so I'm not too bad.
It's not unusual to see international players from, say, Europe or Canada on the Americans roster from year to year, but in 2020, that's not the case due to league protocols.
We don't have any import players to start, which was kind of to be expected, but we're still about 30 guys, and I think that's why we have a good group back, like guys that could come back, and they're hungry.
In Great Falls, Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
The Americans open the season this weekend in Butte. They'll host Helena at the Iceplex next Friday. Home attendance is limited to 250 socially distanced fans. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Last check of the 7-day forecast here. A little cooler tomorrow, back into the 60s, 70s, though, through the weekend. Watch the wind, watch the fire danger for a lot of the state, though, as we get into early next week, with winds up to maybe 20 miles per hour and temperatures unusual for October in the low 80s.
Well, enjoy that sunshine while it's
That's
there.
really nice. Remember, a year ago, we had snow on the ground.
Yeah, there was like a foot of snow on the ground. All right. See you at 10.